check bouncing was quite unfortunate the way that unraveled.
Your check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yours bounced.
At this point, Lisa had said she was going to cash the check maybe 6 times. And I didn't know if she was ever honestly going to cash the check.
Okay, but here's the thing, I'm gonna cut you off. Anybody who waits that long, this is just what normal people do. I would pick up the phone, hey Tom, just let you know I'm gonna go to the bank today and cash this check. Is everything still there?
Yeah.
Yes or no? No.
She had
let me know when
mentioned
it's
it
ready.
again.
Bam, click. But to make you feel dumb about it and tell you months later I'm gonna cash it, that's, and without telling you?
It was a year. It was a year.
She did give me a heads up about a few weeks out, and I just was like, it kind of went in one ear or the other. I'd heard it so many times. She kind of used it as a fun little like leverage jab. She'd be like, don't make me cash that check. Even though I fully hoped and expected she would, because we wanted to be invested and show that we're committed, not just as a financial, investment, but also a symbolic gesture. This is a monumental amount of money to me and Tom, at least to me, $50,000.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. But I had the money, and she was pissed. I totally was caught off guard how upset she was.
I don't think that's fair. Up to a year?
Every check that I've known,
180 days.
180 days is like the max. It's usually 90 days. 180 is like the most. I didn't understand why she would get so mad about cashing a check that's over a year old and it not clearing, or bouncing.
I didn't want to dwell on whose fault it was. I felt bad about the way it happened, whatever. I just wanted to resolve it, and in a beautiful, spectacular fashion.
Ready? Dude, there was a lot of 5s.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I wanted it to be with 5 stacks of high society in there. It just didn't look as good. $50,000, it's a shit ton of money, but it doesn't look like that much. It's like this, and you're like, it's a little anticlimactic. So I wanted to I wanted to fill the case. Listen, it's scary going to the bank. I know people get murdered for much less.
Oh my God, I was petrified when I got my money for my wedding ring. I was like,
yeah.
I know it's not a big deal, but you think everyone's looking at you.
I was terrified. I hired a security guard.
He hired a security guy, and the security guy called me. He's like,
You
I'm
hired
outside
a
your
security
door.
guard to walk with you?
I went through all these crazy scenarios where I was definitely gonna be kidnapped. They're gonna take my money and harvest my organs on the black market.
I don't think they want that liver.
No, they don't want. No, they regenerate. I think mine's good. But no, honestly, it was one of the most high stakes days for many reasons for me.
Kill me, dude.
Should have went with the LEDs. I wanted it to be like Pulp Fiction when they open up the trunk.
You know what? I had LEDs at home for that.
I know. He has LEDs.
But they always joke. They said that I would LED Ariana's vagina if I could.
Yeah, he loves LEDs.
Would you?
Yeah.
Cha. Well, anyways, I'm so happy I did it. We had a really good laugh. I gave her the briefcase, and it was funny and over the top, but also I think Ken and Lisa really respected the fact that I went and grabbed that cash. It felt good to be able to, even though it took me 36 years to acquire $50,000, it was handing over the world. I mean, that took me a long time to accumulate, and it was a big deal.
Tell us about the big performance, your release party.
What's it for? What's it for? What's it for? What's it for? I call your name, but you ain't speaking. Yeah.
I wrote the song when my dad had his stroke, and then it was finalized, mastered a week before his passing. So it was insane because the song is basically about what is this life for? What are we all grinding so hard to do after? We're just dead, and then what? And so it was just during that time of my dad almost passing away and then him actually, leaving, I just was very conflicted, and I felt like writing a song about it.
I don't want to do this no more.
Jackson, Ariana, I love you so much, and you are definitely represented. The reason I did that was because when I told Ariana when the performance was, that was the 7th anniversary of her dad's death, and I was like, there's no way that I can go up on a stage and perform a song that I wrote for my dad and not acknowledge the fact that we have friends that have also suffered great loss. I just wanted them to know, you're totally not forgotten. and your loss is like something that's, you know, on everyone's mind. We're aware of it, and you're loved.
Did going through this bring you closer to Jax and Ariana?
I think losing my dad definitely bonded me to Jax the most. Our fathers passed away pretty close in time, so our grieving process has been kind of on the same schedule, if you can even call it that. And, you know, with Ariana, it was just like, I kind of, when you talk to someone who's lost a parent and they're like, oh yeah, he died 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it may be, it's just kind of matter of factly and you move past it. But then when you actually have that happen to you and you think this person lost their dad that many years ago, you go into this cycle of like, they haven't heard their voice in that long. They haven't had a memory of their dad in that long. And that just opened my heart to her even more than it already was. And it also made me really sad for her that it's been so long. But I definitely bonded with Jax over the passing of our dads.
This is not to be a downer at all. It's just like a little side note. I wore my dad's signature tonight.
It's not the day your dad died. Obviously, I wouldn't know the date, but I do remember that day, and I was a dick that day.
The night that Ariana's father passed away, Tom and I were together. I remember saying to Tom, I understand that you're her friend, but you're my boyfriend. And he left to be by her side.
So for me, obviously at that time, being super fucking selfish and not giving a fuck about her feelings, even though it was something so awful, in my brain, I'm just like, if he walks out this door to be there for her, he is now choosing her over me, is the way that I saw it.
See, but I also was unaware of that like dynamic because for me at the time, it was like, Tom's my friend and he's always been a really good friend. But then when he came, I didn't expect that he would ever come back over to Scheana and Shay's. And then when he did, I was like, damn, that is a really good friend. Like, wow. And so that whole other side was something that was kind of not.
Yeah, I think, and this is just my opinion, like, I think that was, in hindsight, it's a very, like, epic moment for the two of them. Totally. Like, to bond even more, like, as best friends, as, like a family, you know? To be there with someone through something like that, you really bond.
Yeah, it's true. I will never forget that. But it's kind of like, okay, you know, 5 years later, looking back on it, it's kind of one of those cool things where, you know, something happens in a movie, like the movie of our lives, right? Something happens in a movie, and there's all these different people who experience that one thing in such a completely different way. And so now that we're friends and like talking about this, I'm like, that's actually like kind of like really cool. Like, I think it's really cool that we've all experienced things with completely different perspectives. And of course, you know, this was like a super hard time for me in my life because of that. But it was also a really super hard time for Kristen because of something completely different. And that my reality was my reality and hers was hers. And I was unable to see any other reality other than mine. And I think the same goes for her. And now we're in a much better place. So I think I wasn't trying to dwell on that moment. I was thinking maybe more of, you know, like now looking back, I'm much more able to think of different perspectives of that time.
Hi, it's Jax from Vanderpump Rules. Wait, what's after that part? Finish the episode, subscribe, watch more. Hi, it's Jax from Vanderpump Rules. Click here to subscribe, and click here to watch more videos of Vanderpump Rules.